Change is necessary.
Yes.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. What's your name?
My name is Jody.
And how old are you?
29.
Okay, 29. How do you feel about 29? Like, what's up with 29?
So I like it. I like my age because I feel like the older I get, the more comfortable I get with just like who I am.
Yeah.
But my life doesn't necessarily look like how I thought it would look at 29. Like I'm living at my parents. I'm currently single. Like it's not where
You're single?
I had it mapped out. Yeah, oh girl, you don't even. Whew, I'm sure that'll come up. We'll just get there when we get there.
Oh shit. Okay. Well, in the meantime, who do you think you are on a soul level? Like minus all the material stuff and where you work and like, you know, like inside.
Like inner Jode?
Yes, inner Jode.
I love that. Talk about my little inner Jode. God, that's such a hard part. You're so good at this. Oh, gosh. I think inner Jode or like my inner child or whatever you want to call it. It's just like so full of love. Wants to love and wants to be loved. And I mean, I feel like everybody at the core is kind of the same. And then all that stuff that you said, like underneath all of that stuff, the job, the material, like that shit just gets like piled on top of our true, authentic selves. And I feel like part of like just the process of life is kind of like digging the authentic self out from under all that bullshit.
Yeah. Yes, I love that. Is there anything that's going on right now or anything that's happened in your life previously that kind of has shaped how you process things?
Everything. I mean, damn. Like one event, you mean?
I mean, it doesn't have to, well, it can be an event, but just any times in your life where you felt like there was a major shift or change in the way that you felt or looked at life.
Gotcha.
And like how it changed.
Gotcha. I guess really growing up, like there was, and this is for the negative, but it was still a big shift. Like I hit this point as like a young kid where I realized like, oh, I can't really depend on anybody or else I'll never get my needs met. And I can't tell you like what day that happened, but I definitely wasn't born thinking that. And you know, as a young kid, my parents, I've come to believe that my parents like did the best they could with what they had at the time, but they weren't the best. It wasn't like fucking Leave It to Beaver or whatever in my house. So eventually I was just like, you know what, kind of like fuck it, like I'm not gonna ask anybody for anything anymore. And I like developed this fiercely independent, almost to a detriment kind of streak in me. And a lot of life since then has been realizing that no, like I can count on other people and sometimes people are there for me. I don't have to do everything myself. So that was like the first big thing. And then when I was 18, I got sober, and right after, like, that whole process really helped me realize that I can depend on other people, and trust and be myself and open up. So that was a big shift. And then more recently, a couple years ago, I had like, I don't know what you want to call it. I call it like a mental breakdown. Some people say emotional bottom or whatever. And I was like obsessed with work and had some mental health issues going on. And just like fucking totally fell apart and broke down. Had to like quit my job, move back home, move in with my parents. It was a big fucking thing. I can go more into it if you want me to. But that was another like total shift. That shift I think was just more about like self-love. Because prior to that my life was more about learning to open up to others, and this was about opening up to like myself and trusting myself. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. I love that answer. Okay, so there are 3 categories, and I'm gonna get you to tell me which one means the most to you and which means the least. And you can mix and match these things if you want to.
Okay.
So the first group of things is love, sex, and relationships. The next is society, culture, and politics. And the next is spirituality and religion. So I guess what kind of takes a front seat in your life?
Probably the first one, love, sex, relationships.
Okay. Is there a reason why that kind of trumps the other two?
Because I love to love.
Yeah.
And that's got me in so much trouble in my life. But I feel like, I don't know, ever since I was little, like that, I mean, love and attention was really like my first like addiction, I guess, first thing I ever sought out. And ever since I was little, I've had this notion, which I've since learned is not true, that, you know, life was about finding like the one. Oh shit, I hear thunder.
It's okay. We can take it inside if we have to.
Okay. So I thought life was about finding the one. And once I found the one, the relationship, I would be happy and like it would be over and everything after that would just be smooth sailing. And I don't think that's the case anymore, but I feel like a lot of my life has been focused on love and finding love and who's gonna love Jody and da 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 da.
Okay. I definitely relate to that. So how do you feel about the other two, society, culture, politics, and spirituality and or religion? Because I know that isn't always
I'm kind of like even on them. Like I'm not religious. Like I consider myself spiritual, but I don't know. Society I don't really care about. Politics, like I have my political beliefs, but I try to stay away from the news because it affects my spirituality.
Right.
So I'm not like I don't consider myself like super informed about politics or whatever.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like equally as unimportant in my brain.
Okay. What does your spiritual practice look like?
It changes all the time. Like I am a person that I just can't with routine. No matter what kind of routine that is. I can't freaking wake up at the same time every day. I can't eat at the same time every day. I can't pray every single day. I can't like, as soon as something in my life has to turn into a routine, and I don't like necessarily have to do it, like go to work at the same time, I won't if I have an option, because that just makes me feel like I am a robot. Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I don't like it.
For sure.
So I guess my spirituality right now looks like, I don't know. I was thinking about this on the ride down here, and I don't know why. Just looks like connecting in different ways, and that connection changes every day. Some days I sit on the little cushion and do the Om meditation thing. Some days I like pray and call my higher power God. Other days I don't do either of those things, but I spend time with like one of my little cousins, and he's like 5, and he's just so like pure and full of love and so in the present that like no matter how much I would have meditated or prayed or whatever the fuck that day, like being with him in that moment is like so much closer to my higher power just because it's so present and so real.
Yeah.
So it kind of like changes all the time. So I guess the only practice that I have consistently is like trying to find a new practice.
Okay. True. That makes sense. So what are your political views?
I'm kind of all over the place. I guess I'm more Democratic, liberal leaning that way.
Yeah.
I grew up in a really small town, and everybody was conservative, Republican, racist, homophobic, etc. So that was kind of how I was brought up, and then I rebelled against that when I left to go to college. Like I wanted to go to Philly, live inner city, be around like diversity, and I was like, you know, I grew up, my town was called Boyertown. I'm like, Boyertown and the racists here are the reason that my life sucks.
Yeah.
So I thought I had to get away from just that area. So I took bugs.
I hate bugs. Go ahead.
That's okay. So I totally rejected that belief and went like super far left, super liberal. And then as I grow up, I'm kind of like, wait, let me think critically about it and not just believe it because it's the opposite of what my parents believe. So I think as I age, I kind of come a little bit more towards the middle, more moderate about stuff. So I kind of feel like you know, my conservative Republican friends, I don't fit in with them, but I also don't fit in with my liberal Democrat friends, because my liberal friends get mad at me for having certain beliefs, my conservative friends get mad at me for having certain beliefs. And it's like, you know what, like, I don't, like, I vote for who I vote for, it's my business. I don't, like, try to disrespect people, and I try to, like, mind my own business and let people live their own lives, but, like, I don't know, if somebody asks me, like, specifically, like, what do you think about blah, 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 then I tell them, but I find, like, the less I talk about it, almost, like, the happier I am, because it doesn't matter, and at this point in our lives, like, I don't know, most people I hang out with are, like, 30 or older, 25 or older, probably, and we've already made up our minds. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with, like, healthy discussion, but I feel like a lot of times political discussion is like, I'm going to change your mind. And I don't think that really happens that often.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to get you to draw.
Ooh.
And I want you to pick colors that represent your mood right now and you as a person. And you can pick as many as you want to. And then you just have to tell us why you picked the colors that you picked.
What am I going to draw?
Whatever you want. Whatever your heart desires.
Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. I'm really feeling blue. Oh no, I like this one too.
Might have to buy new markers. Just because, like, sometimes people forget to put the caps back on and I'm like, is this drying?
Trust me, I was a teacher, and every day, 10 markers, no lids, because I think I was made of money. I think these are the colors I want.
Okay. And why did you pick those colors? What are these colors to you?
I don't know. I liked them today. They were bright. I don't know. I was feeling the blue, and then this for a little contrast.
That's also on your toes. Very cute.
Oh my gosh, it is.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know. Maybe it reminds me of the beach, and we're going to the beach in a few days.
True.
Subconscious.
Yes. Okay. So just draw as best as you can throughout the interview, because a lot of people don't finish because it's hard to answer questions and do the same, so don't feel crazy.
I'm just supposed to draw, like, whatever I feel
like.
like.
Some people literally have drawn, like, lines and, you know.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't feel pressured.
Okay.
So the first question, what makes you the most upset?
Oh my gosh, I get upset all the time. I'm addicted to crying. No, just kidding. Not really kidding about that. I get most upset when I see people I love hurting. And I'm like super codependent. So I want to, like, save everybody from everything and have, you know, I would rather feel pain than have somebody I love, like a really close friend of mine or family member, feel pain. So yeah, I think that's what upsets me the most. And usually, like, I can't fix it, which sucks.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when I try to fix it, I just make it worse, or, like, that person is not happy about me fixing it. Like, in my perfect world, like, somebody would have a problem and I would fly in with my superhero cape and fix their problems, and they would say, oh my gosh, Jody, thank you so much, like, you're the best ever. But typically people are like, get out of my business, like, I don't need your help, I'm a fucking grown adult. Which is what I say to people that, like, swoop in and try to, like, save my shit for me, you know what I mean? I just had that conversation with my mom the other week. Mom, I'm 30 years old, you stop doing everything for me.
Yeah, true.
But, like, I still have the tendency to do it for others, and it's, I mean, part of it's selfish because I want that recognition of, like, being a savior, but also, like, I care, and sometimes I'm like, god damn, like, why do I have to fucking care so much about, like, everybody?
Yeah.
It's annoying.
Yeah, it is annoying. I feel that. Okay, so what makes you the most excited? Like, what excites you more than anything?
I really like, I guess the opposite. I really like seeing the people I love,
That's fine.
be happy and succeed, and, like, find their selves. Like, I think this is so cool, Alana, that you are, like, doing this and taking this risk to do, like, this big project that you said is just kind of distracting you from your normal 9 to 5 and you know, like kind of putting yourself out there, like to me, like that's so fucking cool. Like that, like seeing other people do that like makes me super excited, and it gives me the inspiration that like, oh, I could do that. So I just like, I like seeing people not necessarily like succeed, like make a lot of money, but like find their truth and like their authenticity. I like that. Shit's cool.
Awesome. I love that. What are you most afraid of?
I mean, like living. I'm really afraid of losing my parents. I don't know how that's gonna fucking go when that happens.
Yeah.
That terrifies me.
Yeah.
But I'm also really afraid of like never finding like a good relationship. Shit, I'm getting a little emotional.
It's okay. It's fine.
Because like
with you.
Okay, yeah.
Cool.
Like since I said, since like the beginning of, since I can remember, I always thought like the right relationship would be like the thing I was looking for. Like I want nothing more than to be like a mother and a wife and have like a beautiful family. And I think like the older I get, the more it's like, oh man, like that might not happen. And like, what if that doesn't happen? And I know other people do that and they choose to not have kids and everything, but that's honestly for myself just not something I've ever considered, you know, or really thought about.
Like that's not an option.
Right. Like I guess it could happen. I mean, I don't know. So, and then I'm like, okay, like I want kids, I want the family. First step in that is like a man, right? So then I date people that maybe I shouldn't because I'm like, well, they could be the one that starts like my lifelong dream happening. Yeah. So I think that's one of my biggest fears, is like never marrying, never having a family. And I know I wouldn't say dying alone, because I'm not alone. I have a lot of friends. I have a great, you know, my parents and my extended family are great. Right. But like, I want my own little one.
Right, exactly. Now I feel that, and you'd be an amazing mom, so I get that.
Thanks.
Make a face that explains you. Like if you were a facial expression, what would it be?
This isn't me making the face. This is me thinking about the face. I mean, probably something like super goofy, like that would probably be it. Just because I feel like I'm a little more animated than your average person.
Okay, that's fair.
I don't know.
Yeah. Do you have any habits or weird habits? You just say weird habits, but people don't think that what they do are weird. So, because I do weird stuff all the time. But yeah.
Well, I'm addicted to chapstick. I have it in my bra right now in case I need it during this interview. I always have that on me. Like I've left the house and then turned around and gone back to get it because like I just get anxiety when I don't have it. So I guess that's weird. Also, I don't think this is weird, but other people think it's weird. Like I refuse to clip my nails or my toenails inside the house because then like...
Do you sit outside and do it?
Yeah. Why is it so weird? Think about it.
I mean, it makes sense, but it's just... That's amazing.
Just try it.
Do you have like a specific spot that you go to like go
well, if I'm in a hurry, it's just the stoop on my back door. If not, I'll walk out to the patio and make myself comfortable.
I love you.
But even in like the winter, I'll just go out and like real quick just like clip my nails, because when I do it inside, they freaking like spray everywhere. Even if you do it over a trash can, even if you have the kind that like has a little receptacle that it goes into, they still get everywhere and it's gross. And then I freaking will walk around barefoot and then little nails are stuck to the bottom of my foot and it makes me fucking want to vomit. So I just do it outside, don't have to worry about that. The guy I just broke up with when I lived with him, he did it in the bed one time and there were nails in the bed.
Oh my god, and you were just vomiting.
I walked in and saw them doing it and I was just like, what? I like blew a gasket.
Oh my god, yes.
So I guess that's the weirdest.
Oh my god, I fucking love that. Okay. Share an embarrassing moment.
I can remember a lot from when I was like a little kid. I was like a very sensitive, very embarrassed little kid. I don't know why I remember it. Like one time I was in preschool and I had, like, we used to wear the bodysuits that like clipped in our crotches and then like spandex over them, like little jelly shoes. That was like the style in preschool. So I came out of the bathroom one time and I couldn't like snap the little snaps on my crotch by myself, and wasn't about to like call my teacher in to like snap my crotch up for me. So I just like let it open, and then I walked out of the bathroom, and it was like a little tail hanging out the back of my spandex, and all the other preschool kids laughed at me, and I was so embarrassed and so mortified. Sorry, I remember like stupid shit like that. I can't, like, as I got older, nothing like embarrassing like that has happened that I can remember, but since we're being like super honest here, a more like heart gut-wrenching level of embarrassing would be like I was in a relationship and the guy was super not interested in having sex.
With anyone or with you?
I think with anyone.
Okay.
Like he was very like depressed. As far as I know, like he didn't watch porn. He wasn't talking to other girls. He was like
asexual.
Kind of, yeah.
Like the guy on The Big Bang Theory.
Sheldon.
I think so.
Yeah, maybe. I don't really watch the show, but he would kind of have trouble like getting an erection sometimes. It was just so first, like, of course, I took it personally. Like, what's wrong with me? It's because I'm like too fat. I'm not pretty enough. Da, 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
So like I tried so hard in that relationship to make our sex life better. And like it was really fucking embarrassing. Like I would like wait, like it came to the point where I was like making like appointments for us to like have sex, because like I was trying to save our relationship via like our sex life, and he would like be downstairs and just like ignore the appointments, or like tell me to like wait upstairs for me, and I'd just be waiting upstairs like naked, vulnerable, and he would just like, I'd hear the TV turn on downstairs, and that was like so embarrassing to me. And I don't think he ever really understood like how degraded that made me feel,
right?
Because it wasn't only like I don't know, like he couldn't even like try, and I really don't think it was personal, but it felt very personal to be rejected, like, and that wasn't just one time, that was like time after time after time. So like that was like not one incident that was embarrassing, but that's like more recent in my life of not like a cute funny embarrassing story. Like that fucking like was embarrassing to the core, dude.
Yeah Thank you for sharing that. What don't you want to tell people but know you should share because it would help someone else?
Well, I don't think everybody that's sober has to go to a 12-step program. And this has been something that's been on my mind a lot lately.
That's gonna ruffle some feathers.
That's fine. This is where I am.
No,
yeah.
Let's hear it.
So I've been sober for 10 years, and I have respect for the fellowships I'm in. I'm not going to name them. But I've been in 12-step fellowships, and don't get me wrong, fucking saved my life, dude. I needed it in the beginning. And then recently, the past 3 years of me being involved in that recovery world, I've been fired by a sponsor for not doing what she wanted me to do. I've been berated by the sponsor I got after that because I didn't even refuse anything, because I questioned the way that she wanted me to pray.
Oh my God.
And she was telling me to say something like directly out of our recovery literature, and my question to her was like, what do you get out of saying it exactly how it is? Like, I was looking for like, is it a exercise in humility, or like what do you get out of it? Because I've never found like saying rote prayers that I've memorized helps me connect to any sort of higher power,
right.
You know? And she was just like, well, when my sponsor told me to do stuff, I just did it, and I needed a sponsor that wasn't nearly as impressed with myself as I was. I was like, fuck you. Like,
yeah, that's That's horrible.
Fuck that. So I fired her, and I still haven't gotten another sponsor. And since then, I have felt so much judgment from the people in the 12-step fellowships because I don't have a sponsor in that specific one. And I don't know, I've just been feeling a lot of just judgment and just the opposite of love and tolerance lately. And I've seen that happening to other people too. And I've been pretty close with a few people recently who've decided to not go back to meetings because they felt so like, whoa,
it's raining.
It's storming. But they just felt like ostracized and whatever. And I think there's this stupid illusion in programs that like, if you don't do this program, you'll drink and die. Like, no, dude, like we don't have a fucking monopoly on that in these programs. Like, if you don't do this program, maybe you'll drink and die if you do nothing else besides this program. But like, maybe you can meditate more. Maybe you can go to church. Maybe you can do something else. Maybe you can take up running. Like, I don't know what anybody else needs to recover. I don't know. So I guess where I'm at in my life, like I'm finally starting to explore other options and like not go to as many meetings purposely. People have told me like, yeah, you need to go to less meetings and do other stuff with your spiritual life or else you're just gonna be miserable and resentful sitting in those meetings. So like make it more personal for you. And I'm like, I'm all about that. Like they definitely help people. They certainly helped me and saved my life. But so I would just say, the thing that I think would help other people is like if you feel like you're the only one in a 12-step program thinking that everybody else is full of shit and that they're really judgmental and you don't know if you can do this for the rest of your life, you're not alone. And there's absolutely ways that you can recover and stay abstinent without going to those meetings.
Mic drop.
Just saying.
Okay. What do you feel will restore connection, like in our generation? What do you think we can do to be better?
I think like it's not just one thing. You know, the first thing that came to my mind was social media, but I don't think that in itself is ruining our connection. I think if we used it to connect, like you post these videos on Facebook, and that's awesome. You know what I mean? People might watch them and like connect with that. So I don't think social media in itself is bad. It's just the way that we use it. But I think just like being more honest, and that's one thing I do love about our generation, I think, as compared to our parents' generation, which was more like, oh, we're gonna do the right thing and look right in front of everybody.
Right.
Our generation is less afraid to be who we are and be honest about where we've been and where we see ourselves going. And I think that's slowly but surely kind of like opening those doors to more authenticity. I love Brene Brown, and she talks all the time about the power of vulnerability and how vulnerability is necessary for connection and community and relationship building. And it's so true for me, dude. Like if I have a friendship or a romantic relationship or whatever, and like I'm not vulnerable myself, like I can never experience that deep connection.
Yeah.
You know?
I love that. That's exactly what I'm doing this.
Right.
Vulnerability.
Right. Yes, I love it.
Do you send important information through text, or do you feel like you're one of those people that is like, call me or we need to talk face to face? Like, do you hide from having serious conversations face to face?
Not usually. Like, don't get me wrong. If it's like a work thing, I'm like, fucking text me. Do not.
My last email.
I'm like, email me or text me. Like, if you call me, if somebody from work calls me and it's something that they could have just texted me about, I get pissed.
Yeah.
Like, because I don't know. I feel like like the phone is just like an interruption. I have to stop everything that I'm doing. Where's the text? Like, I'll get back to you in 5 minutes. Not a big deal. Anyway, but if it's something like emotionally important, like breaking up with somebody, I might set the stage through text. Say like, hey, like there's something I really want to talk to you. Like, when do you want to like meet up in person? Like, I wouldn't break up with anybody over text.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever
I mean,
done
that's good to know.
Yeah.
Have you ever ghosted somebody? I know that's like a thing now. People, I guess, just completely cut people off and don't give them reasons why, which is so mean.
It's so mean. I'm like the opposite of a ghoster. I'm like I'm an entertainer. Like I will want nothing to do with you, but then out of fear of what you'll think of me, we're about to lose the flight track.
Oh my god!
I'm just gonna keep talking.
Just do it.
Okay.
Whatever.
Okay. What was I just saying? Oh, yeah. So I'm not a ghoster. I'm like, if somebody tries to talk to me, I'm more like, oh, I don't want to hurt your feelings, and I don't want you to think I'm a total bitch. So like, let me like,
that's
like,
me too.
Like people please you, because I don't want you to like be mad at me. Recently, I've just like within the last like year or two, like really started to come into my power and like say no when I mean no, and like not talk to people that I don't want to talk to. Yes. So like this, like I've been broken up. I've been single for like a month, right? And like I hid my relationship status on Facebook. It doesn't say single. I didn't like post anything or any memes about being single. Like there's literally no way, like you didn't even know I was single. There's like no way people would know I was single. But somehow these fucking guys know. And in that month, like in the 9 months before, nobody hit on me. Not at all. In the month I've been single, 4 guys have tried to hit. And I'm just like, what the fuck? How do you fucking know? And like I was so proud of myself that I didn't feel bad for just like not responding.
Yeah.
Some guy today was like, oh, come visit me while you're in Maryland. And I was like, close the app. Like, not even responding.
Yeah. No.
Hello.
Yeah, this thunder is wild.
Not gonna happen. So I'm trying to be more, I don't ever want to ghost people, but I'm trying to be more, more of a ghoster than an entertainer. Because I think that can be just as harmful.
For sure. What's the craziest thing you've ever seen?
One time I was driving home from Maryland. I was going to visit my parents, and there was like a block in the road, and as I was like pulled up, it was some guy that was like, it was a UPS or a Fed, I think it was a UPS truck, and then there was a UPS worker like attending to the guy on the side of the road, and the guy on the side of the road was just hit by that huge truck, and he was like laying there and his leg was like all bent, and it was crazy. It was like right after the accident had happened, and then eventually, like, I forget who called 911, but they came, but I was just like, I don't know what to do. So that was pretty crazy. I thought about that for like a while. I never found anything in the papers about it.
Yeah, so maybe
like,
he's like fine.
Maybe he's fine.
Yeah.
Maybe he's
Let's say he's fine.
Yeah, he's totally fine. He's living his best life.
Yeah.
Also, like, it was pretty crazy, and I'm still like healing from this because it was so recent. Right after that breakup, that guy called me drunk trying to commit suicide, and I heard him. At first I kind of thought, oh, he's just like sad and drunk, so he's just talking about dying. Like, who doesn't do that when they're sad and drunk? And then I heard him on the phone like looking and loading a shotgun. Like I heard the clicks of like a fucking shotgun loading. So I drove over that, like probably one of the stupidest things I've ever done. I wouldn't take it back, but it was so dumb in retrospect. I went over there by myself. It was like 11 at night, 10:30 maybe. And he was on our porch of the house that I had just moved out of with a shotgun in his hands and his head in his hand, just sobbing, screaming at me to go home because he didn't want me to see what he was about to do. So that was like one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Like this man that I loved, who I'd never seen drunk before, who I'd never seen so low. That was crazy. I didn't know if he was gonna shoot me, like for approaching him, which is why now I think like
was he sober too before that?
Yeah,
no? Oh
yeah, he had been sober for like a year and a half, and then I moved out. I broke up with him on one Saturday, and then the following week, I was staying at my parents' house, but I went over to like get my shit out of there, and I saw like some beer. I was like, suspicious, but he said it was his friends, and I was like, all right, I don't know, maybe it is. I'm not gonna be crazy about it.
Yeah.
And then the next Saturday, so a week from when we broke up, I went over like with my parents in a trailer to take like my big shit out, like my bed and everything. And then 2 nights later, that's when he was like drunk and a mess.
So did you talk him down? Like, did you stay and talk him down, or did you go home?
I called the fucking police because, like, I had tried to talk him down over the phone. Like, when I heard him loading the shotgun, I was trying to be like, you just go smoke another cigarette. Like, let's talk about this. Like, did you get a new bed yet? Let's talk about anything else with the fact that you're about to kill yourself. And then when I got over there, like, he was just sobbing and screaming and, like, clutching the fucking loaded gun. I thought that I was 100% certain that he was going to kill himself, like, in the next 30 seconds or a minute. So I dialed 911 because my thought process was like, he's going to kill himself. I've never been around a dead body before. I got to call 911 so the ambulance can get here, so, like, I'm not alone with a dead body for, like, 10 minutes, maybe it'll only be 5 minutes if I call them now, and they can get a head start. Like, that's what my thought process was. I didn't think it was gonna save him. Like, I didn't see any other option coming other than he was gonna kill himself and the ambulance was gonna come, and I hope they come soon, so let me call them now. But as soon as he saw me calling 911 and heard me talking to the operator, I don't know what you call them, he put the gun inside and was like, oh my God, now they're gonna 302 me, I can't miss work tomorrow. I'm like, you're just about to kill yourself. Now you're worried about, like, not going to work tomorrow? I'm like, what?
Yeah.
He was, like, totally out of it. So it was a whole, like, thing. He tried to, like, run from the cops. He, like, tried to just, like, he, like, went into the woods, and I was like, I'm not following this drunk boy into the woods. I, like, turned around by the time he got into the woods. The cops were there. They spent, like, a half hour trying to catch him. They finally caught him and convinced him to go willingly to the hospital to get, like, looked at. So we went. And even then, he's, like, texting me. He's like, so you're going to follow me to the hospital, right? And get me out of this because, like, I have to go to work tomorrow. And I'm like,
no.
Not
even a little bit.
Not even a little bit. So I, like, said I would fill out whatever paperwork I had to 302 him to keep his ass in the hospital in the psych ward for as long as possible. And then I think the doctors told him, like, I don't really know what they told him. Something about, like, you know, if she 302s you, you'll never be able to own a gun again or go hunting again. And he was like, oh, okay, I'll go willingly. So he went willingly into the psych ward. And yeah. Wow. I don't even remember what the question was, how we got started on that.
It was, what was the craziest thing you've ever seen?
Right, yes.
But I'm glad that he's alive.
Fucking crazy.
That is wild.
He is.
That's terrifying.
He's alive. I'm really fucking scared it's gonna happen again, to be honest with you.
Ugh.
But, so I don't know what the future will bring with that or with him, but that was fucking wild.
Okay, so on a lighter note, what's, like, the funniest thing you've ever seen? Or, like, the funniest situation you've ever been in?
So many are coming to my head. I don't know why this was so funny to me, but I literally, like, died about it for, like, a week. I was dating this guy before this past one, and we had broken up for a little bit, and then we, like, went to the beach to, like, try to rekindle or something. I don't know. So we're, like, on vacation. I hadn't been around him in a while, and you know how when you, like, I'm still dying about it. You know how, like, when you go to tell Siri something, it's like, I'm sorry, Jody, I didn't quite catch that.
Yeah.
Right? So he like, picked up his phone and he was, like, trying to ask Siri, like, I don't know, what time a restaurant was open or something like that. And Siri didn't understand him, so she's like, I'm sorry, Big Daddy, I didn't understand that. Like, he literally reprogrammed Siri to call him Big Daddy, and I just, like, lost my shit. And I will never forget that. And that's probably not the funniest thing that's ever happened, but that's what's coming to mind right now, so that's what you get.
I'm sorry, Big Daddy. Can you say that one more time?
I was just like, did you really fucking do that?
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Also shows the kind of person he is, kind of, which is great or not great, not sure. But that's hilarious.
Yeah.
What are you self-conscious about?
Oh, my body, for sure. Ever since I was little, I've had, like, major anxiety about my body, like, always thinking I was overweight, and being overweight some of the times I wasn't overweight and I was still, like, self-conscious about my body. Like, Growing up, my parents were always like super into crash dieting. Like they would eat super unhealthy for like months and months and months, and then be like, oh, our clothes aren't fitting right, and they would like crash diet, like do Atkins for like 2 months, lose like 30 pounds, and be like, okay, let's go back to eating shit.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, it was terrible. Like when I finally moved out into my own apartment when I was like 20, I like had to teach myself how to eat, because like growing up, like we didn't really have vegetables ever. Yeah, like there was not much effort given to nutrition, or like they encouraged me to play sports because like they didn't want me to be like a fat kid or whatever. But there was never like oh, love yourself, eat like you love yourself, vegetables are important. It was like, here's some hamburger helper, hot dogs for lunch,
meat.
Right, it was like meat and carbs. So I like retrained myself to eat and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, even like today coming here, I was like, oh my god, like am I gonna look fat? I thought my armpits looked fat in this shirt.
No.
But I've been like so up and down. I've been between like 130 and 230 pounds in my like adult life, and it like fluctuates up and down, and it's like I know that like how I feel doesn't have that much to do with my weight, because when I weighed like 130, I fucking hated myself and thought that like I was just like the ugliest, like fattest piece of shit ever. And then I've also had the experience where I'm like 180, 190 and like fucking loving the bod that I have and like rocking it out because like I worked hard to get to it.
Right.
But mostly like, I don't know, like I have to battle that insecurity like every day, I feel like, because what's automatic for me is thinking like if somebody doesn't want to go on a date with me, oh, it's because I'm too fat, or like oh, it's because I'm ugly, or it's like oh, they would if I didn't have cellulite, or they noticed the stretch mark on the back of my leg. It's just like a constant like narrative in my head that it's really a lot of work to be like, no, hold up, brain, maybe not, you know. But that's definitely the biggest insecurity I have.
Okay. Do you look up to anyone? It's okay to say no.
I don't have like one single person that I am like, OMG, I want to be like them. But I don't know. I look up to a lot of my friends.
Okay, yeah.
For like overcoming a lot of things, or like going out on a limb and like doing something new or being themselves. But I don't have like one person.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Open-ended question, what's missing?
So you're not going to tell me what's missing and what? It's just up to me, like in my life.
Yeah, or just in general, just in however society. You take that question, what's missing? If you had a blank you had to fill, what would you put in that blank?
I think love. And I know that's so fucking cliche and like whatever. But like when I'm going through stuff, like what's missing is self-love. When other people are going through stuff, like what's missing there is like that, or connection, or however you want to say it, in our society in general, like what's missing, just more love, connection, respect for each other. And I also want a dog.
I've heard those. I also like cats though, but yeah.
I like cats, but I want a dog.
Dogs are amazing.
Yeah.
Another question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Well, I definitely want to own my own house by then. And I'll be living with my fucking parents. I'm super grateful about my dad, don't get me wrong. And I mean, the goal would be to have that little cozy life that I always dreamed about, like own my own house, have a little family. Maybe in 5 years I won't have the family yet, but maybe like the guy, that sperm I will use to start the family. Hopefully I will also love him. But yeah, I guess that would be the goal. Like I don't really care what I do for a living anymore, like as long as it pays the bills and like lets me have fun outside of work, but like that family system in the home is something that I really want.
Okay. And the last question, what do you have to say to the world? Oh my goodness.
These questions are so hard. To the world?
Yeah, what do you just want to put out there? Like, you guys need to know. Here it is.
Go to therapy. Everybody, go to therapy. Like, I don't understand. If I had unlimited money, I would pay for college for whoever asked for it, and also send anybody that wanted to therapy. Because, like, I just feel like there's so many people that have so many issues, and there's this thing of, like, either they're too fucking egotistical, they don't need help, they don't need therapy, therapy's for crazy people. Or they know they need it, but they just can't fucking afford it. And, like, I've been there, and I know a lot of people that have been there.
For sure.
But, like, dude, without therapy and, like, working on myself and looking at, like, the way that I react to this life, like, I don't even know who I would be. I'd be a fucking mess. And I just think, I don't know, it's such a detriment to people that don't go. So go to therapy.
Jody for president. College and therapy for everyone. Shit, I vote for you. Let me see what you drew.
Oh, I don't even know.
I love it. What are these different things? You drew the rain.
This is a flower, and then I drew a cat.
I like how you mix the colors.
Thank you.
Makes me happy.
And then this is I don't know, I guess a tree, but it has a little tent.
Yeah, I was gonna say it also. It's a tree tent.
And then I drew the rain, and then some stars.
I love it. I think it's beautiful. Can you sign it for me?
Okay. Oh, man, I would have drawn something better. No, I wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't. This is the best I can do. I'm gonna do my best. Thank you so much for doing this. This was so awesome.
I love talking about me, so anytime.
Insane. No!
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Wait, this is for everybody else.
Yes! Don't rip it out.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I'll glue it back in.
No, it's okay. This is just a memory. It's fine. You're so funny.
Yikes. Well, sorry.
All right, kids. You saw it here first. Don't rip out the...
Don't do it. Okay. This is Jody in the flesh.
Yes.